That it is nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, we're, we need two more, I think.
Mike Henderson. Yeah, that's good. That's what it should be. Say there was before he realized he was freaking out. Yeah. It is different.
No.
Michael's gonna get his feelings hurt if he didn't let him in. He was like, he said, "You want to get in?" That'd been my excuse for hanging out.
We have Rodney, Friday, and Mark.
Was you guys it's yet to you, huh? It's capture changes. So.
You did email me and Kirk said that he had an appointment, but he was gonna try and catch it by Zoom.
And there's it's no longer. I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is, but I know that it's not resolved to the directors.
And so you did.
And I know he's still.
Oh, mother.
Lighting commissioner for South is now going to be finished that. And I bet you he doesn't know about it. Oh, he wrote that one. Thank you.
All right, well, I think we can go ahead and get started. We don't have a quorum yet, but maybe two will funnel in. And then we can take a little action, otherwise it's to be even quicker than I thought. I know, I just brighten people.
He's not enough, you're gonna.
Hoping for worse weather. That's
I
right.
have to up the game, maybe we need smoothies.
Pretty true. I'm just gonna throw it out there, the big deal of RPC, they gotta provide a meal to get people to show up.
And I was gonna say, I chicken. Just say, oh, chicken.
I used to go to church with a gentleman, every time they would say, how do we motivate people to get involved in this? He would say, the only two things that motivate me are threats of physical violence or free food. That's it, those two things. So baseball bats or fried chicken, Alice, totally up to you.
That's good. Be motivators, I can see that.
If you're outnumbered, you probably ought to think seriously about which option.
Chicken drumstick.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, want to kick us off?
All right, well, I guess we don't really officially call the order, do we?
Well, we can do introduction.
Well, then we will call the meeting to order at 11:05, noting the lack of quorum. Unless we have two more members show up, we won't be able to take any official actions. So in the meantime, when those more people show up, we'll do introductions. And Marla, would you mind starting us off?
Marla Mills, K Engineering, SEMPO staff.
Rodney Bullier, City of Jackson.
Kelly Watson, Cape Girardeau County Transit.
Alex McElroy, SEMPO staff.
Ryan Shrimpland, City of Cape Girardeau.
Joe Gillian, MoDOT.
Chris Crocker, MoDOT.
Art Phillips, Cape Special Road District.
Andy Meyer, MoDOT.
And on the line, we have. Oh boy. Our projector. Is that me?
Dim the
Good
lights.
to you.
Okay, Tom Caldwell.
Yes.
I'm just reading who we have online. Sue Cochran, Jeff Long, Brandon, and Mike Henderson.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
You can always.
Thank you.
Well, we can't officially adopt the agenda. Can we do acknowledgement of notes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are on item 4, acknowledgement of notes for the April 5th, 2023 meeting. Does anyone have any comments or corrections for that?
So this one's just notes because we didn't have a quorum last month either. So we just out of tradition, we keep notes on the meeting, but nothing needs formally approved. And once you have an opportunity to look at them, I'll post them on our site as notes and not minutes.
No comments, corrections at this time? We'll move on to item 5, communications from the chairman and I cabinet at this time. Do we have any members of the public? Seeing no members of the public for public comment, we can move on to new and unfinished business. I believe all these items require action to discuss, but we can take action. Is that correct, Alex?
That's correct. For items B and C, we don't need formal commitment from the committee to release it for public comment. So this is just yet another opportunity to review it and then either talk to Marla or myself about incorporating comments that you may have. Again, we're encouraging folks to issue them by PDF instead of just handwritten, but we'll take whatever. But yeah, we can start with item A.
Item A is election of officers for fiscal year 2024. Do we have anyone that would like to volunteer for chair or vice chair?
The pool's kind of small.
So I put this on the May agenda because since I took over in 2020, I found it can take from May to July to get somebody in those positions. So now we don't have a forum, so it's not a big deal, but everybody here is on notice that in June, we will be doing the same agenda item. So I did print out who historically has served in these officer chairs since 2020, just for reference. And I hope we use that to guild some people in June to be in their position.
Commissions I'm on usually,
With the board and the TPC, so I have to do it both.
the commissions I'm on usually adopt people who are not in.
It's true. So please come in June, or you
Yeah,
may,
that'll be
if we have a
good.
forum, you may end up being an officer.
All right, item B, the draft of the public transit and human services transportation coordination.
Yes.
Have that, please.
So as we discussed last month, draft has been provided. We've given an opportunity for the planning committee to review it and issue comments. There's still plenty of time to issue comments at this point. What we plan to do after this meeting is open it up to public comment. So we'll post on the website and issue a release, letting folks know that it's out there for review and issue comments to either myself or Marla. Our next 2 items will be pretty quick because we've kind of gone over the drafts in our meetings. And unless there's further discussion on this one, we will open up for public comment and then in our meeting, we'll make the recommendation. We'll review it to make sure all the comments are incorporated to your satisfaction, but then I'll be asking you to make recommendations to the board for their meeting.
All right, then item C, the draft 2024-2027 Transportation Improvement Program.
And this one's the same way. We'll be looking to adopt it in June. At May 17 meeting, I'll be asking the board to schedule a public hearing for their June meetings for both the public transit plan and. But again, the public comment period for the tip is actually 25 days. So still plenty of time this year. Comments there. I've been getting incremental comments from folks, so I appreciate folks that have already taken initiative and read through it.
Do you have those comments? You have comments as well?
Yes, I'll take them however, but if you're interested in what my preference is, by PM.
On to member reports then. City of Cape Girardeau.
To make you aware, our city engineer, there is that's resigned, she's taking another position, county in Illinois, so she's finishing out the week and then she'll be done. I believe Jake Gerard is going to fill in. So he may be joining next time. We may hear from him, but Amy wasn't able to join us today, but she gave me an update on city of Cape's transportation projects. We still have several in TTF5 Spring Street project. We're waiting on the contractor to finish up a bunch of sidings for final acceptance and close out. Westside Boulevard, storm sewer, concrete paving are underway. Main Street, we're finalizing the contract documents. We intend to bid it out this spring. And then Independence Street, we're still in the process of acquisition. We're getting appraisals. We're reviewing those. Our acquisition agent had some surgery, so he's been out of the office. So we're still trying to get through acquisition. As far as TTF6 projects, the College Street project is completed. The Maria Louise project, CFS is incorporating the final sidewalk design for DFW. We don't yet have funding for construction. Spring Street, it's going to be in, I guess, next year. Berlin Street, we're waiting in-house design. We've got the survey done. Same thing with Lexington. Actually, I think for Lexington, we've started the in-house design. And then Beverage Memorial Drive Phase 6. We've received an appraisal for the right of way. And Owen Engineering is working on the final designs. As far as our maintenance projects, 2022 concrete street repair is done except for punch list and restoration. And then 2022 asphalt street repair. The estimated completion date is June 15th. As far as our great projects, Kings Highway crosswalk tap project, we final authorization from MoDOT. We had to push back the letting date. Minnesota Route 74 Minnesota intersection with part of the way, and we're sending the final documents this week. The Cape Rock Drive sidewalks, the two tap projects that were recently approved. The agreements have been approved by council, and the agreements for the preliminary engineering. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Rodney, City of Jackson.
Yes, thank you. 2023 concrete program has been awarded to Mike Light Cement Finishing. Notice to proceed is scheduled for May 26th to avoid school traffic. The 2023 asphalt program was awarded to Black Diamond Paving. I think they're also known as Paving Bros. Recommended for award. Yeah, Monday, May 1st, board approved that contract this past Monday. No schedule on that as of yet. The West Mary Street Bridge replacement in the city park, asphalt work delayed until delayed due to issues at the plant. Should be completed though by the end of the contract date, which is May 18th. The Deerwood roundabout at 61 design is ongoing. I believe we received, and they're sitting on my desk for review, the preliminary plans for that. So I'll be taking a look at that this afternoon. The East Main Street sidewalk, I believe that's a tap. About as issued notice to proceed with the design, and that's Bacon Farmer Workman. We might even have a kickoff meeting tomorrow, correct? The teeth grant that we got for the Main Street pedestrian study. Lockmuller completed it, and we'll be submitting the final report to the city for final review. And then to MoDOT by the deadline on May the 5th. Hubble Creek Recreation Trail Phase 3. That's from the high school to the soccer park. Borings have been completed in the location of the proposed pedestrian bridges. This will allow for the design to move forward. That is Smith and Company Engineers. We have a project to stripe and rumble and install some rumble strips on Graceberry Road. Staff is researching companies for methods of installing rumble strips on short distances, as well as companies and costs for contracting out our striping. That project's a little bit too big for our street department. And it looks like we're also looking into adding other roadways to our annual striping contract as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rodney. Next up is Cape Special Road District.
We substantially completed the County Road 314 or the Hopper Bridge project. Benzel Construction has that job very good. We won't see mulch, but other than that, it's pretty much done. We're in the middle of our asphalt overlay for the year as well. ASA has our work this year. I hope to be done with that probably within about the next week. And we are having a bid opening next Tuesday for a bridge replacement project out on Old Route B or County Road 657, which is just kind of on the north edge of town. Actually, immediately upstream from the bridge that pulled out the replacements last year during the 77 project. Trying to, yes. I think that's about it, other than routine maintenance for us.
Okay, thank you, Mark. For Cape Transit Authority, we have every 3 years, we have to update our Title VI program, and that is out for public comment at this time. Information is available on our Facebook page, as well as on our website under public notices. Then also on May 23rd, we are partnering with the United Way Transportation Coalition to sponsor a community transportation picnic to provide updates to the public on things that we are working on to improve transportation for the community. And that's going to be held at Capitol Park, May 23rd at 5:30. Everyone is invited to attend. We are requesting RSVP so that we kind of have a head count of how many hot dogs to cook. We're going to have to provide hot dogs and chips, I believe. So there is a flyer posted on our Facebook for that as well. And other than that, it is grant writing season, lots of that going on, and still working on getting additional vehicles. Hopefully starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel on that. I think that's it for now. You guys? Who wants to speak for MoDOT?
I'll take a stab
Okay,
and then turn it over to Chris real quickly. Today, right before this meeting was the May commission meeting. And at the meeting earlier, the commission awarded all the projects from the April letting. Fun trivia fact for you. In the history of the Missouri Department of Transportation, we believe there have been 2 instances where a project received low bids that were tied. They got the exact same number. I think there's one maybe in the St. Louis district years ago. The second one occurred in this last letting, actually in our district. Barger and Mike Puts had the exact same bid on a concrete repair contract. So believe it or not, the way you settle that is a coin toss. And so last week, there was a ceremony where they showed up, they showed them the coin. For whatever reason, Barger got the pick, they picked heads and they won. So they were awarded a contract repair, concrete on various routes based on a coin toss. So that's 29 years, never seen that. So there you go. That's your trivia for today. I don't know what your organizations do in the event of a tie, but I thought that was interesting. The other things that were in that letting that might be of interest to you, there were multiple pavement repair contracts on our major and minor routes, our interstate system and our other majors. There's high tension guard cable and rail repair and Chevron installation on a number of routes. So that was April, really wasn't too exciting other than the coin toss, but that was today. 18% over for the year to date. So that's come down significantly than what we've seen previously. We started out 46%. It's been trending down ever since, but that still means that we've awarded it's kind of historic for us at $1.7 billion we tipped over today. $1.7 billion in awards on slightly less than $1.5 billion in work. So we're over program. We've awarded projects significantly higher than the program amount. All that'll have to work its way out of our program over the next few years. That 1.7 billion awarded to date this fiscal year includes a rather large design build project in Chester, which we're all super excited about. The upcoming May letting has one project that some of you might be interested in, which is the Route 61 improvements in Jackson, Mary Street intersection and the Bubble Creek Bridge replacement, the ADA work, and utility relocations that are associated with that. And obviously the city of Jackson is our partner on delivering the utility relocation, and also the detour of traffic, because that will be closed for a significant period of time in order to allow that work to occur. And I think that is everything that I had. Chris, I'm going to go to you.
If you haven't heard by now, we have a call for BRO projects. Out right now, it came out through the first this month. The applications that are out right now are due June 9th. The Cape County don't have a whole lot of bridges that are even eligible. I think it's going to be in Cape County. But if you are interested in submitting an application for those, just know that deadline is June 9th. There's approximately $4 million worth of funding out there for the fiscal year 2025. Estimating roughly $500,000 per bridge, roughly. So about eight bridges per probably this fall. We hope to make selections and announce those awards by August. So if you're interested in that, the applications are out on our website. If you need any information, just let me know. I think everybody's pretty much touched on anything that I probably would have talked about. I will say that the TAP projects in Cape, the Kings Highway project, Morris Drive, that is in FHWA's hands right now. They're reviewing the construction authorization. They have 2 weeks to do that. We sent to them last week. Once they give us that, we'll give you the authority to advertise and commit to that. The other 2 TAP projects that are an extension of that on Cape Frog, again, we are waiting for the engineering service contract to be executed with the city. And I spoke with Amy's replacement this morning. Jake, I'm going with a ordinance that is a all-encompassing ordinance or blanket type of ordinance on any present or future MoDOT related, FHW related projects. Just streamlines the process a little bit. That way that you don't have to continue to get ordinances or executing documents throughout the life of the project. I send a reference to multiple cities and counties. But would be good. Kansas City has been using the same ordinance since, I believe, 2003. And it just says all FHWA projects. So it just, again, it streamlines the process and you don't have to go through those first and second reads to get you don't just execute. If that's something you're comfortable with.
You know, if that's a MoDOT requirement or if that's a.
So I looked through our policy and I don't believe it's a MoDOT requirement. I believe it's related to the entities, rules and regulations on who is allowed to execute documents when you have a government. Is the way I understand. I sent Tim Richmond some guidance from our e-agreements training manual on ordinances and why they exist. That was really geared towards agreements, but I think you can apply that to any document that requires one as well. So I can send that to you. Also, you can read through and tell me what you think. But I don't think that it's a MoDOT requirement. I think it's just an entity and their ways that they execute documents. It's the way it's always been explained.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I know with Amy leaving, probably back in pressure.
And again, the blanket ones to me is the way to go because it just streamlines the process. But yeah, waiting on those for the TAP project, the cost share project on 74 Minnesota Avenue. We're a little bit behind on that project right now. The final plans were due to be approved May 1st, so we're going to have to get a supplemental agreement to extend that with justification for why it went over, which I spoke with Chris Kaler. It seemed to be right away, which is a very common problem that we have. Which delays the acquisition. But yeah, coming back. So we just need to work through that process and get some supplementals in place for that project. Like Rodney mentioned, the cost share project for Deerwood, we have a meeting coming up tomorrow. Or not that project, the Main Street project. We have a meeting coming up tomorrow. We're just going to go over the project in general and meet with BFW in the city and go over expectations for the project and regional progress. I think that's pretty much it. We did go back to the drawing board on Route 72 project here recently to discuss ways that we can make that contract a little bit more flexible. You don't remember, we let that project sometime last year. We were unsuccessful in getting good competitive bids and awarding that project. So again, we went back to the drawing board and looked at some opportunities that we can make that project more flexible with scheduling and those sorts of things. We, I hope to let that one, I think, this fall. Joe?
One thing that I had is, the old Route K corridor, Gordonville Road, right in front of the hospital. And going out to Independence over to almost Kings Highway was an old state route. And I guess when you guys start looking at your Independence project, doing some of that work, realized that we had a maintenance agreement signed with City of Cape and coincidentally with Cape Special Road District. And so I think we are working on trying to do the conveyance on that. And we received the final plat this morning. So we'll be looking to try to go ahead and get that done, hopefully before the end of May. So there's some movement forward with that. And that's all that I had. So I think if Mike's still on, we'll let Mike chime in.
Yeah, I have something about the unfunded needs list, and this may kind of commandeer the meeting for a minute just to kind of become a working session, or maybe just an FYI. Of course, you guys know it is due May 31st. We'll try to spend that last week inputting it into our database. So we like to have it finalized, late May to give us time to input it. And there is one RPC. We are reworking some stuff, but I'm assuming I'm still going to be able to kind of get them to the same fiscal constraint that they are now. So hopefully by the time we get done looking at all their stuff, it doesn't throw a whole big wrench into everything else. But that being said, with the inflation and we're being a little bit more fiscally responsible and restrictive on this list, we're going to have to do some shedding. And I've kind of looked across at all the RPCs, and it's going to have to come from the MPO area is what it looks like. Of course, you guys know how we distribute the money, and for several of these jobs, the MPO, we kind of lend, we get some of the funds from the SEMO RPC, and we get some of the funds from the Boot Hill RPC too, to help accomplish a lot of these things like the flyover or 6 lane at 55 or the shoulder in at 25. But those three things I just mentioned are really expensive jobs. We're putting the shoulder in of 25 on the tier 1, and I can't remember the exact dollar amount now. And even with scaling that down, I think it's down to like $10 million, or give or take. Don't quote me, but that's with scaling the shoulders down from the 10 foot to the 6 foot. And you only have 5 million available. So I'll say all that to say is that I've got about $18 million that I need to trim from this list, and it probably needs to come. Well, it does. It needs to come from the MPO area. You're like 159% over on tier 1 and 75% over on tier 3. So the projects that I think that we really need to look at, there are two options here. One of them, it's the 6 lane at 55. That's not cheap at all. One of the things I'm looking at doing is, well, what was one of the things I've already done? One of the things I'm looking at doing is adjusting where we look at doing that at. Right now, it's from basically exit 96 to 99. And I'm going to try and find some limits that are shorter. Right now, I just started looking, and really I'd like to start at Scott City and work north. So I might, and I just want you guys up to speed. And if there's any, Mike, don't do that, do this, then, now's the time to let me know. But I'm thinking about starting at the Scott City exit and going up to the Route AB exit and seeing what that costs and see if that can get that number down some. Another option is we only do one direction and go as far as the money allows, but I'd like to, try to get it in both directions. The other thing is, and I've tried to refrain from doing this in our district, but some districts do it. in the unfunded needs list, there is the option for funds from other sources. And I think the flyover would be a good example of that, where we don't necessarily show the funds from other source. What we would be doing, like in this example, say the whole thing costs $30 million. And again, I don't have the exact figures in front of me. I'm just off the top of my head. Say the whole thing costs $30 million to do. We would say we would show $25 million on our end. And then in the description, at the end of the description, we would write partial. And that would be the note to the people, to central office that, this is MoDOT's portion, somebody else is funding the rest. And they don't even know what the rest is. So I didn't know where you guys stood on that. If you wanted to do something like that with the flyover exit 93, because we were anticipating some funds from other sources on that job anyway. But I didn't know what number, if any, you guys would be comfortable at showing. We need to come down about 18 million. And I could probably easily get a lot of that off of trimming back the interstate if you guys are good with that. But if we showed a few million coming off of that job and being funded by other sources, that would be an option too. So do you guys got any thoughts on that? Do you want me to just deduct it all from the interstate, or maybe even kill the interstate job altogether, or any thoughts on showing maybe $5 million coming from other sources to the exit 93 job?
I have a question on the 6 lanes on 55. MoDOT, do you think that's really an impending need? And then also our NTP, what did our models say as far as the projections of volumes on 55? Is it something that we really need to do? We were asked to give projects based on these funding scenarios, so we were coming up with things, and we all agreed that would be a good one. But if the numbers are getting tight, maybe we need to revisit whether or not we even need to include that project in this particular, certainly this tier, this time frame. I'm not on 55 usually during the peak hours. I don't travel that at those times of the day, so I don't know how congested it really gets through the MPO, on 55. But is there really you think there's a legitimate need to expand the number of lanes on 55 of our area? What's MoDOT's thoughts? Just your own experiences. And
from a traffic standpoint, one of the more heavily traveled road segments in our district is I-55 from Oak Ridge to Scott City. There are times of the day where we are no longer able to perform routine maintenance without significant backups. And as you're probably all well aware, that's generally when we start seeing accidents, when you have those queues on roads where people anticipate traveling at a very high velocity and suddenly find themselves coming to a stop. So that segment, Scott City to Oak Ridge, really, it is conceivable that at some point in the future we'll be talking about that as a real thing. It is a big ask, obviously. So, we're not here to tell you what to do. You got to pick your own priorities. That's certainly, I would think, in your area, that would be something that would impact a lot of folks on a daily basis. It's interesting how many people, given all the other available alternate routes, how many people still use 55 between Cape and Jackson in the morning and evening. I think it's also interesting that a couple of times recently, Generally the southeast Missouri and Channel 12, do a pretty good job of documenting it when it happens. We have a significant accident on the interstate and it shuts down. I mean, I don't remember, was that in March? We had one out there and you could get from K to Jackson, every other available route was just jammed. So it is, it is going to continue to be a thing that we talk about until we're sick of it.
I'd say this too. I've heard the unfunded needs list referred to as sometimes they want this versus the needs. But I haven't heard that discussion regarding that project in particular from you.
Well, it sounds like it's still something we want to include. It's,
I don't think.
I just wanted to put it out there because I
don't think you want to get rid of it. I mean, this has been discussed. I mean, I work with these guys too. I mean, this has been going on, 20 years ago, we were having the same discussion and I was sitting in the building with these guys. And, it's not a matter of if, it's just when,
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
well, that's what
necessary. And I know
certainly it sounds like that.
Yeah.
That is definitely going to be,
I
but I didn't know how imminent that
think we just
was.
want to keep it in the forefront, or something that's out there, don't you? I mean, I'm not saying we can't.
Yeah, no, I was just suggesting we move it. I just was asking it's, when we have the larger budget, we have more money to work with. It's a lot easier to talk about that, but once we have to start paring this down almost to the bone, cutting this down to the bone, it's like, what are we really gonna get out of it? I mean, out of that section, that whole stretch from Oak Ridge to Sykeston or Scott City, I mean, how many miles are we looking at, Mike, to fit within the budget or? What are,
I'm hoping, if we did a little off of the flyover, I was hoping to get the piece from Scott City to AB, but just to give you the type of dollars that we're talking about, I think we had it last estimated to do the whole part, I think from Scott City to Fruitland. It came out to like 7.4 million a mile, if I remember right. Well, no, we had estimated that part from 96 to 99 specifically. And that was 7.4 million a mile. So if you just kind of use that number for over that mileage, I'm not sure what that comes out to, but that would be the cost to do that whole corridor.
well, to Andy's point, sometimes you get some additional traffic, just people traveling from Cape and Jackson back and forth, which you wouldn't have on those other sections. It really is that 96 to 99.
Right.
Or that section that I think probably is the heaviest.
Yeah, that's why we started there.
By an accident or construction or something like that.
I think that's why you guys wanted to look at that spot first, and that's why we did. It's just now it's hard to get financially, it's hard to get that whole stretch in there. So I try to think about the next problematic area. And, it seems like a lot of people, when you get past Scott City, there's a lot of people dumping onto the interstate there. So I just thought
Well,
maybe.
one thing we could look at is, Veterans Memorial Drive, it's envisioned as a, frontage road essentially. It's not complete. We've got several phases completed, but maybe, the phases where we have it in place, at least there's a detour route there if there was an accident or construction, but the sections where we don't have anything, that maybe those are areas where we could look at doing it if we're not able to do all the way from 96 to 99.
You just leave it all in there and you leave the other things on there you want and tell us too bad or we're high, we don't care. I mean, we've got other RBCs that can't even prioritize other than by county. So
Yeah,
one
thing we don't do much of here is using our data and our mapping and our model and stuff that we did for the NTP. And so we may want to get through to kind of bring this stuff up, whatever we've got and really start using our data when we make, kind have to make decisions like this. You know, there's the volume, the heaviest. There. In that origin destination study, that will help. That's one of the things that's where the traffic's coming from and going. But
The other thing you really want to think about is, you know, it is an unfunded needs list. It's not. But we got a tendency to look at that list, talk about that list, like that's what we're going to prioritize future projects off of, right? You don't want someone divorced from all the information coming in and looking at that and thinking they're buying more than they're getting for that number. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a legislator or someone else saying, oh, you know, well, that, you know, 25 million and that'll cover wherever, when we chopped it up and cut it up just to get it in there and hit a threshold that's artificial to begin with. So y'all do what you want and we'll live with it.
Mike, is there any specific guidance you need from us now? I think all of us are kind of reserved to mull that over. I think we had some good ideas, but without a quorum and this being our planning committee, I don't think we'll get anything solid to then go right and eat.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. I know we do got another board meeting coming up. So that's good. Cause you know, like I said, we need the information by the end of the month, to get it in. So,
You want to put it?
we'd like to have it by the last week of May.
Want me to add it as an agenda item for our board meeting on the 17th?
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a good idea. You know, we need to maybe kind of discuss, you know, how much would they be comfortable, if at all, showing a, you know, the flyover is ballpark right around 30 million. So and that's for everything. That includes what's already in the STIP. It's funded by MoDOT, but that includes the relocate 74 and that's everything, the dog bone. So, you know, to help decompress these numbers, $18 million, you know, would you want to throw 5 million at that? And then you're only down to $13 million. And theoretically, that means we only need to shave off 2 miles of this 55. So
There was the 30 million from exit 93 into the list.
what's that?
Are you factoring in the 30 million for exit 93?
I took out the part that's in the STIP.
Okay.
So yeah, we only got like 22 million.
Yeah.
But that's a good question, Ryan. And I because with all things considered, with the way prices are going, you know, is this what we want to have a hard time squeezing in? So it sounds like it's a good tier 3. So it's a matter of just making sure it's still visible on a list, and then, you know, the limits are going to get pretty short on it, certainly without any participation on the flyover. The limits are going to get pretty short on it. So, you know, I don't know how viable that becomes, but it's something to consider. So, and you know, your other projects, just to keep in the back of your mind, are the intersection improvements at Shawnee Boulevard and Jackson. That was about 2 million. The shoulders on Route K on 25 from 61 to K is now around 10 million. So those are your other 2 projects, and then the exit 93 and the 6 lane and 55. So it's those 4 jobs, and we just got to find a way to deflate these somehow. But it sounds like those are discussion items. We'll make a decision on how to get those deflated, hopefully by the next board meeting. I'll do some brainstorming with some co-workers, and if you guys can do some too, we'll talk in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Mike, in the interim, feel free to reach out to me and we can kick around some ideas.
Okay, appreciate it. Sounds good.
Anyone else from MoDOT? I think we did.
Yeah, Mike Henderson on.
Oh, yeah, there's Mike.
Yeah, sorry about that. The only thing that I have is, of course, you know, the UPWP is at Federal Highway now. We're waiting for approval. And I will be planning to send the consolidated planning grant contract out within the next couple weeks. So I'll give you a heads up when I get that entered. It's the only thing I have.
You have anything for us for IDOT?
No, nothing of significance. No, no report.
Okay, thank you. FHWA,
Hi, everybody. This is Cecily Cochran. Just reiterating what Mike said, we are in the process of getting a UPWP approved, and I'm also reviewing your draft tip. So we should have those comments available to you as well, probably within the next couple of days. But that is all that I had to report. Thank you.
right, thank you. I think that concludes our member reports.
You got
Oh, did I miss someone?
Betsy?
Oh, Betsy, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. I don't have anything further to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, double checking out before I close this out.
I didn't spot it either.
Okay, so now I think we will conclude our member reports. You have a staff report?
Nothing additional to add. You guys touched on everything I'm gonna bring up.
Okay. So does anyone have any other business or communications that they'd like to bring up at this time? Hearing none, I believe we will close the meeting. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.